Good morning, students. So, our next lesson is rights approach to development. So, in the previous class, we have discussed about poverty. So, because of lack of purchasing power, people unable to take adequate food, okay, and nutritious food. But we are living in democratic country, so all the people got human rights throughout the world since last 300 years. So even our constitution also provided some fundamental rights. Okay, so it is held that all human beings, irrespective of their caste, gender, religion, country, etc., whether they are law binding or criminals, have certain basic rights which cannot be denied to them. So all people, so even our country is a secular country, we never give any importance to any religion or any caste. Okay, so all caste people, gender, even religion, even any country. So if they belongs to any country, but in some countries people don't have such rights, of course. So whether they are law abiding or criminals, so you should understand here, even criminals also who are guilty, who committed offense, those are also having their some rights in the prison. They should have a right to get food, okay, freedom to talk, okay, within the limits, okay. So those we should not, no one cannot denied those rights, okay. So two of these rights are very important in the context of poverty. So what are those? The right to dignified life and the right to liberty and freedom. So every person have right to live with dignity. So no one should abuse them, no one should insult them, okay. And every person have their liberty and freedom. They can have right to do whatever they want, okay. They have a right to do follow religion whatever they want. So these are the basic rights of every human being. So the right to life means that all human beings have a right to live in such a way that their human dignity is not compromised. So either they are working in factory, either they are working in a domestic servant, as a domestic servant, either they are working as a government employee or private employee, but they should have their dignity. The right to liberty and freedom means that they can do, believe and speak out what they want without fear and live the life of their choice. So what they want to do, so they have right to do. What they want to become, they have that right. Example, if a student can think to become a doctor, to become a lawyer, to become a farmer, to become a social reformer, so they have that right. What they want to do, they can do, okay. That is the meaning of right to liberty and freedom. Clear? So here, shall we take some examples now? So Pavan is a boy of 13 years and lives with his mother. He lives in a temple town visited by a large number of pilgrims. Pavan stands outside the temple gate and begs in front of pilgrims for food by falling at their feet. Sometimes some of them give him stale, means not fresh, leftover food from their tiffin boxes. Sometimes he carries heavy bags for them and is paid a small amount. So this is one of the story of the boy. So actually, according to our constitution, uh, every children have a right to education. So below 14 years, boys should be in the school or in the hostel. They should not free outside. But here Pavan is a boy of 13 years. Is usually he was standing outside the temples and begging. Okay. So why? Because here the laws are not properly implementing. Okay. So some people are not utilizing these rights properly. Clear. So his mother works in a house as domestic help. She works for almost 12 hours every day, all through the month. She is constantly ordered about by her employers, including young children. She is given leftover food after everyone else has eaten. She is not allowed to sit before the employers and has to always talk to them meekly, means gently. She is often insulted for some minor errors or delays and has to fight back at tears and anger lest she be thrown out the job. So here also she is not having proper respect. So even though either she is working at the either domestic servant or a officer, so everyone should have right to get proper respect. But here she is working as domestic servant in the well-to-do family, so often she was insulted by elders and even children also. Okay, if she revolt, so what will happen? She will lost her job. That's why she is bearing all these insults. So if she is having proper work, so then she will get the respect. Clear. So who are responsible for all these? So in the above example, do you think Pavan and his mother are able to live with dignity? So now they are not living with dignity because of our economic system. Okay. Next, are Pavan and his mother free to do what they want? No, they don't have that choice. Why? Because that provisions are not there in our system. They don't have any education. They don't have any economical support. Even government policies also not supporting them to do what they want. Okay. So who is blamed for this kind of a life? For Pavan and his mother, are they responsible for their own condition? So here, if the government policies are proper, okay, so then the people who are living below poverty line or uneducated or unskilled can get proper work. Okay, we cannot, those are not responsible for their own condition. So this is the responsibility of the government. Okay, so government should create the type of system to provide dignity work for all the people who are living in the country. So whose duty is to ensure that Pawan and his mother are able to live a life of dignity and freedom. Already we have discussed. So that is the duty of government. Okay. So in the last chapter we saw some aspects of poverty. So already poverty means lack of money. Okay. So because of lack of purchasing power also. Why? Because they don't have a proper employment. Okay. Proper resources to work. So that's why they are unable to buy things what they required. It is not merely going hungry. It means lack of resources like land or education to make a living. So usually in our country most of the people are depending on agriculture. Even now also people are depending on agriculture, 50% people. So but those people, most of the people don't have their own land. They are working as agricultural laborers in others lands, or some are taking lands on lease from other people to do agriculture. Okay, so why this situation, poverty or other situations were happened? Because of they don't have a land and even education. It means lack of gainful employment. If they don't have a education, if they don't have a skill to work, so they don't get any proper employment. It means lack of access to some basic needs of life like health services, education, food. If they don't have a purchasing capacity, proper employment, they are unable to avail these basic needs also. So these basic needs should provided by government actually. Okay. Next, it means lack of voice to heard and ability to influence the formulation of policies or implementation of programs by the government. Actually, these basic facilities, food, health, services, education must be provided by government. So that type of policies were not able to implement in our country. So how can people rise above the property? Same question again. So how can they rise? If you show proper employment to them, proper facilities to them, then only they will come out from their conditions. Okay, this can happen only when the government acts on their behalf. So no private people can do this. So even though in our country so many private organizations, private companies are there, those are providing much employment to the people, but that is not sufficient. It is insufficient. Why? Because our population is more than 130 crores. So out of that, only 5% of people are working in organized sectors, in government sector. Most of the other people are working in private sector only. So if the government provide, act, so then only, so they will get rid of from their poverty. So often people in the government feel that they are doing charity by providing for the welfare of the poor people and feel that the resources used for this are a burden on the government. So if you observe the newspaper, if you follow the newspaper, you can understand. So our politicians thought that they are providing all these facilities like a charity. Okay, so oftenly they said that they are spending for midday meal or some pensions for widows, pension for old women. So they are spending much money. That is burden to the government. So actually, from where they are paying, that is more important. What they are providing at the time of election time, what they are assuring, what they are promising. So these all are paying from our money, from our public money. Okay, not from their own packets. Clear? So, so it is not a burden to the government actually. So, however, when we recognize that it is the fundamental right of all people, it becomes the primary duty of the government to ensure these rights. Further, the resources spent on this will be seen not as a waste or a charity, but as necessary investment for the future of our country. So that is more important. If you don't provide proper health facilities, if you don't provide food, if you don't provide proper education, we can't create future workers, future working community, healthy community. Then our production will be reduced. So we don't get skilled person to work in the industries, in the office. So then what will happen? It will be effect on the production. So this is not waste. So this is more important. So every factory or every government should create the future employees that is needed. Okay. So it is important to pass laws which sanction the economic and welfare rights of all people. When the United Nations was formed, already you know that UNO, United Nations Organizations, that is one of the international organization to ensure the rights to the people. So it will interfere when the disputes arose between the countries. Okay, so that was started in 1945. So all countries agreed that human rights relating to freedom and economic development are fundamental rights of all human beings. Most of the countries, more than 195 countries were members in this UNO. So all those countries were accepted, agreed. So many countries guarantee rights relating to freedom but not to economic well-being like employment, fair wages and right to access to education. So even our Ambedkar told at the time of preparing our constitution, when we are going to adapt the constitution, he said that in our country we are having political freedom but not economical freedom. Okay, so like that here also so many countries accepted to provide rights relating to freedom to talk, to follow their own pleasures, but they are not ready to promise to provide economic development or providing those type of well-being like employment, fair wages and right to access to education, health services, housing and food. Of course in our country, so according to our constitution we are providing education, free education, health services, so housing and food also. So we are maintaining PDS system, midday meals, Anganwadi. Through that we are providing food needy people, and even through government schools, government hostels, they are ensuring free education, and most government hospitals are there, but people are not availing because of lack of provisions in those organizations. So in 1993, once again all countries agreed that both kinds of rights are essential. When we say that people have a right to food, education, health, housing, employment, we mean that it is the duty of the government to provide these for all its people. So that's true. So these are more important. If the government provide food in a minimum price, and education, free of education, health and housing. So most of their income can be saved. Okay, so they can spend those money, that money in some other facilities. So in so many countries, advanced countries are providing education and health with free of cost to their people. Okay, so the government should be legally bound to ensure these to all its citizens, and if they are not ensured, then the people can go to court to ensure their rights. So in case of fundamental rights, we have these rights. We can go, we can sue the government to enforce these rights. But in other cases, so right to freedom and the right to dignity, right to food. So we don't have that much rights, that much awareness. Okay, it also means that the people like Pavan don't have to look to getting their food and other requirements as charity given by the well-to-do people, but as their fundamental right. They can demand food, education, housing, medical treatment, etc. as their rights. So these are comes under now constitutional rights are fundamental rights. So this will only be possible if the government makes laws in accordance with these ideas. In the last few years, the government of India has also made many such laws. These laws relate to right to information, employment and school education. So a law to ensure food security for all is also under preparation. Let us read about some of these laws in grateful detail. So right to information act, already people have much knowledge about the right to information act. This is more important. So to know the information in any department, so we can use this right to information act. So need for right to information to fight corruption. So previously we don't have any chance to get any information from any department, but after 2005, so when the right to information act is enacted, so people right now they are getting information from the government or private organizations. So the government system is very large and complex. So it is difficult to ensure that the policies and programs are implemented properly or not. Programs which are undertaken to benefit the poor and remove poverty often do not reach the needy and the funds get diverted. A major reason for this is corruption. One major reason why corruption thrives is that the common people do not have proper information about the programs and how they are being implemented. Even at the time of Rajiv Gandhi period, then our Prime Minister announced that in the Parliament, so the schemes are not reaching to the poor people. So out of 1 rupee, only 5 NP is reaching to the common people because of corruption. Okay, so the people had no way to verify how the money was spent by government or local body institutions. So usually government provide facilities to the people through different organizations, but we don't know how much they are spending on that. Okay, it was not possible to know how building contract was allotted to a contractor by a municipality or panchayat. So to allot any contract to any person, we have a proper procedure. So we should invite some bids, okay, secret bids. So later, sometimes they conduct auctions to allot those. Okay, so or what quality of bricks and cement were used, or now how many days of labor was spent in the work. So this information was not shared with the people. Yet in a democracy, it is people's money that is used for their welfare, and therefore people have the right to know how it is being used. Earlier, it was assumed that the elected representatives alone could ask about this information in the legislative houses and check the corruption. But now all the people have this right through RTI. So, a group of people in Rajasthan, so how the movement was started. A group of people in Rajasthan organized themselves under the banner of Majdoor Kisan Shakti Santan and demanded information. There was no legal provision to get the details of information as mentioned in the above paragraph from government to the people. So initially these documents were collected with the help of officials. So the some officers only provided those information to needy people. Okay, but later that was resisted to provide. So thus lead to a people's movement with rallies and marches for the next 3 years. So people demanded that the information was crucial to their own welfare. So like that people started demand about the information. So after many years of struggle, a law was enacted. So through that, they provided proper information. So that was made in the state of Rajasthan in 1995. During the following years, many other states also adopted similar laws. And at the national level, the Right to Information Act, RTA, it is called RTA, was passed by the Parliament in 2005. It is also called RTA Act 2005. Today, the right to information is recognized within the Constitution under the fundamental rights as freedom of expression and right to life. So, we will discuss about provisions and how to useful RTI for all the people in the next class. Thank you.